On December 26, 1991, what was once the Soviet Union had collapsed. After several revolutions in 1989 across Soviet satellite states and the signing of Declaration 142-8, the USSR had formally collapsed. Although most of my generation knows nothing about it, or almost nothing about it, the state of affairs ended what is now called the Cold War, a global war that consisted of proxy wars and the possibility of nuclear self-destruction. Although it probably would not have wiped out all life on Earth, there was always a stark possibility that billions would die, and as a result, humanity's history would be essentially reset. Today, as much as the conflict was seen as a conflict of two superpowers that got rich and powerful over World War II, it is still seen as a war between communism and capitalism. Although I'll spare you much of the details for the USSR and similar states such as People's Republic of China or Socialist Yugoslavia, communism was a system where the state owned the means of production, meaning things like factory materials and all that. And because of concepts like Stalin socialism in one country, it was meant to take over the world country by country. This was the interpretation given by Stalin to communism founder Karl Marx's idea that one day working men from all countries would seize the means of production and cause a socialist worldwide state to emerge. To the US and the Western Bloc, which is all non-USSR and communist state-aligned nations, this was seen as a threat to freedom, as was accounted for all those decades of the Cold War. Now, the title says that I wrote a movie, so where does my movie fit into all this? Well, since the USSR fell in the real world, many feel that this is their time to try Marxism all over again, because they feel that the USSR did not truly follow Marxism. Since the fall, organizations such as the Real World League of the Fifth International formed to combat capitalism, what it sees as the last superpower in the United States, which is, of course, seen in globalism, which they interpret as a type of imperialism. In the movie, which takes place in the not-so-distant future, the United States is more divided than ever, with actions by radical groups on both sides of the political scale, encouraging one another to further become more extreme in their political alignments. In the future, Marxism is much more powerful than it is now, and several communes have popped up in various cities. Also during this time, a lawyer who is strongly associated with the Fifth International, Ron Schneide, decides to move up to Albany, New York, in order to influence New York State politics for Marxism. After years of failing to achieve much progress, he comes up with something called Manipulator Socialism. A manipulator tricks somebody who is wealthy into giving their money to that manipulator by various means. The manipulator would then take that money that they received from the manipulation and give it back to the victim's workers, or any way that the Fifth International would consider worthy. Now, a specific example of this used in the film is a manipulator tricking a wealthy bipolar person to get off their medication so they go into hypermania, hurt someone, and then had to be defended in court by Ron Schneide for money. As the program, of course, all without their consent or their knowledge. And as the program wears on, in the case of Ron Schneide, the Fifth International starts to notice him and his project and gives him money. Ron Schneide then takes this money and pours it into another manipulator whose name is John Wang, and he is very much a prodigy and a genius who really does more of his doctor work on the side, and is possibly set to take over for Ron as his apprentice, but we'll see about that. However, as the manipulations progress, some manipulations in particular keep on getting interrupted by some kind of outside force, no matter how many times they try the same manipulation. After a while, spooky things start happening that personalize the manipulators, in the case of John Wang in the movie, as well as his manipulations that cannot be explained outside of an intelligent force with significant power in his life and his environment. Because of the unexpected and usually rare nature of the events, these events are dubbed Black Swan events, named after Black Swan theory, a theory in statistical science named by Lism. It is these Black Swan events, as well as the goals of Ron Schneide and the goals of scientific socialism he has created, that will drive the film, and that will hopefully help to explore topics like the nature and extent of humanity's control of its environment, the nature of coincidences and random events, and challenge the idea of any predictive theory of history or any predictive theory of anything. Now, okay, since I have just finished the first draft of the entire script, I am nowhere near ready for presidential photography. So it's not like I'm begging for money here. Even once I get the screenplay written, I need to complete the shooting script, establish the budget, get props, camera, lights together, secure locations, you get the idea. However, from this point on, I'm going to be talking about the script much more often through these video updates. However, as much as you might want to have maybe more questions about the film, I can't reveal much because that would be spoilers, and a lot of things aren't nailed down since this is the only the first draft, and that means that names could change, events could change, but I think the gist is basically down here with the manipulation socialism idea and the doctor and the lawyer and his apprentice and the main manipulator, rather. Okay, so hopefully I'll work on the project once I graduate, and if I'm really, really lucky and I have the money, maybe this summer, I'm nowhere near ready. So I project the production budget to be maybe around 10,000 USD. I'm not begging for money, like I said, but the budget hasn't really been determined yet. That's really all I had to say about this project for now, as I want to keep this announcement video short and spoiler free. I'll be taking a break from writing more of it for a while, then go on from there. In the meantime, you might see more videos from me. So this is Mr. Fiction, and don't forget to subscribe.